Okay, so now that we have our cards, let's take a look at getting the correct data to plug into them. So in our sketch, we have highest dividend yield in the current year. Now we already have a function that sorts on that, so that should be pretty easy to do. And then the next one is highest dividend yield in the last 20 years, but basically we're going to make it all time. So that means that in our data set, under dividends for each stock, we are going to have to compound or put together all of these different values into one value, and then we are going to sort on that value. So I think that's the way we're going to handle that. And then finally, we have the highest dividend yield growth in the past 3 years. So the way we'll handle that is we're going to take the current year, and then we're going to check what the difference is between the current year and 3 years past. So in 2017 it was 15, and today this year it was 20. So the difference here would be 5. And then we're going to sort on that, and we're going to grab the first element. So if we go to app.js, ideally what I want to do is I want to have a function that says get info card data, and I want to say growth, and then I want to have get info card data, and I want to see history or yield history. And I want to say get info card data yield current, and we're going to say yield compounded. So now we need to create this function, and we're going to create that in helpers. So we're going to export get info card data, and it's going to take a descriptor, and we're going to say if descriptor equals growth, then we'll return calculate growth, calculate dividend growth, else if descriptor equals yield current, say return calculate dividend stock current year, else if it's yield compounded, so if the descriptor equals yield compounded, then we want to return calculate dividend stock compounded, and we need to add a const here. All right, so let's start with this one. So what we want to do here to calculate the dividend stock of the current year, we need to accept the stocks here as well. So let's go back and add data.stocks. And then we'll import this as well. like this. And we already have this sort by stocks by dividend year function. So let's go ahead and call that. And we'll accept the stocks into all of these functions. So in calculate dividend stock current year, we'll say sorted equals sort stocks by dividend yield, and we'll pass in the stocks. And then we'll just return sorted 0 here, and we're done with that. Now let's handle the compounded one. Okay, actually, we have to do a small change here. So we're gonna say return ticker, sorted ticker, and we're gonna say amount sorted dividends and then year. Okay, so let's go ahead and handle calculate dividend stock compounded. And we're just gonna say const and we're gonna assign it a function that's gonna accept stocks. And let's see here. We want to add together all of the dividends that we have here. So we need to create a new property that we can sort on, so that we can kind of like add all of these together, then assign that to that new property, and then use that property to sort. So let's go ahead and do const sorted by compounded the yield equals stocks.map, and then we'll do create a total, and we're going to say object.keys stocks dividends stock dividends, and for each key we are going to say total plus equals the total of stock dividends and key. And then we will say stock total equals total, and we'll return the stock. Okay, so basically what we're doing is we're taking all of the stocks in data, so all of these objects, and we're looping over them one by one. And then we are converting the keys of this sub-object. So we can see here we have an object called dividends. And what object.keys does is it takes in an object, and then it takes and finds all of the keys on that object, and it puts them into an array and returns that array. So that means that we have an array of each key here. So basically we are taking the total and we're saying stock dividends, I want you to add whatever is at first this key, then this key, then this key, all the way until the end of the array. So that means we're just basically adding each element from, or each value here from this object based on the key to the total. So now we end up with kind of a compounded total of all of the stock dividends. And then we assign that to this property on the stock, and then we return it out. So now we have a array that have where all of the stocks have a total property. So let's use that to sort, and we'll do the same as before. Stock A, stock B, and now we'll say stock B dot total minus stock A total, and we'll end up with a sorted by compounded list. So now all we need to do is return sorted by an object where we say ticker is sorted by compounded yield, and we want to grab the 0th element, and we also need to do that up here, I just realized. And we want to say ticker, and then we want to say amounts sorted by component yield total, and we'll say return here. And then we'll define this last function. But before we go any further, I want to see that this works. So I'm gonna export it, and I'll head over to app.js, and we're going to import it here, and we're gonna console log the results of calling that component with data.stocks. And let's go to our browser, and yeah, so we have a problem with our info cards. So for now, I'm just going to comment those out and see if we can get anything useful from our console. So we have an object here, and the ticker is Y, and the amount is 95, and that's correct. So let's go back, and we'll uncomment these, and we'll remove that, and remove that, and we'll go back to our helpers file. So I think I want to clean up this function a little bit. So I want to take this, and I want to make that a function on its own. So I want to say const create total dividends, calculate total dividends, and it's going to take in a stock, and it's gonna do all of this, and we're gonna say return calculate total dividends, and we'll pass in the stock. So that makes our calculate function a little bit cleaner. Now we want to finish the data fetching or data calculating by doing the highest dividend yield growth. So let's go back and find our calculate dividend growth stock. And what we are going to be doing is something similar to what we just did. So we're going to say const sorted by growth equals stocks.map, and we're going to grab the stock, and then we are going to we're going to get the current year first. So get current year, and then we'll say comparison year equals year minus 3 comparison year, and then we are going to say const total equals stock dividends current year minus stock dividends comparison year, and we're going to say stock.growth equals total, and we're going to accept stocks here, and now we'll say sort, and we'll say stock A, stock B, and we'll do stock B dot growth minus stock A growth, and we'll return that. And down here we will return an object where the ticker is sorted by growth 0, and the amount is sorted by growth growth. Okay, and we're also going to grab this and put in its own function. So we're going to say calculate growth and then we'll put this in here. We're going to say stock and then return stock, and we're going to say return calculate growth and then stock. All right, so now if we go back to our app.js, then we've created all of the functions that we needed to get our data. So if we go to our browser now, we can see that we are displaying the correct data here in the different info boxes. So except for this last one, so it looks like we made a slight mistake there. Let's go ahead and go to helpers.js and see what we missed. So we're calculating the growth and we are saying stock.dividends get current year. Comparison year. Oh, so we need to put the year there, not the get current year function. So let's see if that helped us a little bit. Nope. So let's go ahead and just log out sorted by growth and see what we get. So we have an array here, and we have growth 8. So we should be able to. Alright, so we missed a bracket here. So we need to specify that we want the 0th element. So there we go. Now we have the correct information in all of our information boxes, and we can start focusing on building this next part of the application, which is this stock list that we are going to be displaying underneath here. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.